This is the Bucentaur that I have been wanting to take out a little bit, except I'm overlaid with a Bellona, so let me actually move off that and show you this very nice second rate. The flagship of Admiral Villeneuve at the Battle of Trafalgar, not that it did much good for him. And I am here with Captain Bonnie, who's going to be joining.
Hello. Now, I do have one bit of bad news. I can't quite scrape out the last 38 crew I need to actually launch the Endymion.
Oh, 38 to launch it?
Just now. 38 more than I can carry.
38 more than your max?
Yes.
Not than you can afford.
Rather frustratingly small number.
That is frustrating. Well...
So there is a Rattlesnake Heavy here that I'm going to grab just
Right.
instead.
Do that. We'll take out a second rate and a sixth rate.
This is lined brilliantly. At least I'm the quick one.
Ship of the line and a sloop. I see a French trader's snow, a pirate fleet led by St. Pavel, and another human. I actually made a St. Pavel recently, so I now have both of the second-rate ships in the game. Both of them lack bow chasers, which is super annoying, but I find the St. Pavel pretty nice. In particular, it's got a nice sail plan, so it would be a good occasion to sort of go like, here, what the sails can be. It doesn't go all the way up to the top sails, the moonrakers, the ridiculous ones that no one should have.
Mm-hmm.
What, I figure if you've got courses, lower topsail, upper topsail, topgallant, royal, skysail, moonraker, that's 8 sails on a mast? No one needs that many.
Good luck keeping track of them all.
Good luck being, some of the crew up there reefing the moonraker. Like, that is not a job I would envy. This French trader snow is coming in, so if you can hop out here, you can join the battle real quick. I mean,
as soon as I see some guns on.
Just a let's loot it kind of thing. I'll just tag it real quick so that you can.
Thank you.
Can be there. I mean, it's gonna run away from me, and I'm in a ship of the line, so we'll see if I can ever catch it.
So it's going to make it away from you then if I'm not quick about this.
Yeah, probably. This isn't worth it. I'll only engage actual warships. This is not a pirating ship, Oh my god.
No great hulls are remembered here.
What was that?
No great hulls are remembered here.
I finished Confessions of a Long Distance Sailor by Paul Nudis, and it's a powerful book, but his account of running into some pirates a little bit east of Australia was also noteworthy. They kind of came up to his boat trying to be friendly, and hey, invite us on board for a drink. And then he had to brandish his shotgun, at which point they went back to their boat and then started trying to get up close to him in their main boat, at which point he was like, yes, I was right, they are here to pirate.
Were they hoping to get him drunk?
So let's head south, eh?
I'm following you.
Yep.
So I will take your lead.
Well, I'm going to head southwest for a bit because there is no way this thing is going that close into the wind. It's barely going to go southwest. But yeah, luckily he was able to outsail them because his boat performed better into the wind. Speaking of.
Points that still matter.
Mm-hmm. Talking later with a freighter captain about whether they were in fact pirates, the answer he got was, anyone who approaches you on the high seas is your enemy.
It's a rather cynical take on the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's also quite not quite correct, right? Like, people do hail each other and like have conversations and like act like humans a fair amount, but if someone
What's important
approaches
is to
you
remember that
as
you're
opposed to
out
like,
of range of any
yeah,
greater state.
exactly,
Your security is your own lookout.
just that. It's almost like states' monopolies on violence can be helpful in some ways or something. All right, on this heading, I'm headed to Cuba. You can see it on the horizon there. There's an open world
I
battle.
will happily hang in the shadow of your wind here.
Let's join this open world battle and help a pirate attack some Spaniards. See what we get from it, at least.
Which side am I likely to be most useful coming into that battle on?
You kind of always want to do what you can to come in upwind. That said, the wind in a battle that's been going on for a bit drifts differently from the wind in the open world. So, we'll see.
You can come in upwind and find yourself firmly downwind if you're unlucky.
It has happened. Oh my god. You're speedy compared to this giant
28 knots. Rattlesnake not very heavy. Actually, it's more to that. I put the lighter of the two guns I could put on simply for financial reasons.
I'm not sure to what degree your gun loadout affects your speed. I feel like it should. But I haven't...
It may well affect the duration of this battle.
I haven't scienced it, you know?
Oh, it's a bit of a mauling going on over here.
Oh, yeah? Looked like some very uneven battle ratings.
A Bologna taking on a trader's brig.
Ah, they are pirating. Yeah, I don't think we need to be here. We can, you know, see if we can
90
help.
seconds of floating around.
Yeah. Slowly putting out sail. I do love the look of a line ship, though.
I will say this is the first time I've been out here with a three-master.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm not used to seeing a schematic quite that crowded.
Um,
Didn't we determine that that was the distinguishing feature between a ship and a boat at one point?
oh, yes. There are certainly people who maintain that distinction, though, as Patrick O'Brien says through the mouth of Jack Aubrey, we sailors love to give things the wrong names, right? So, like, because of Aubrey's rank, the vessel that he's in becomes a sloop when he's in it, but is otherwise a brig, right?
How far up does that go? If somebody were to hand him command of a ship of the line, would it become a sloop, or would it be too ridiculous to countenance?
Well, so as a master and commander, not a post captain, if he were to be given command of a ship of the line, he... oh, you left?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll do so as soon as I can. Yeah. Were someone to give him a ship of the line, they could only reasonably do so by giving him at least the acting command, acting rank of, post captain with whatever seniority. So it would remain a ship of the line. But yeah, 3 masts, square rigged, I think is the definition some people use for a ship.
It's so odd to think about an organization with such a regimented promotion structure where you can only work with equipment within a very narrow window of your rank, and conversely, your rank can only be within a very narrow window of your equipment, so they must advance together.
Actually, it's even worse than that. In the Royal Navy at that point, your promotion was based on a number of factors, including, like, what you did, what you achieved, and your so-called interest, i.e., were there people looking out for you, up until you made post. Once you made post, everything was by seniority. You would just automatically get promoted after a certain amount of time.
That seems like a system with some failure modes.
Really? You think so?
I have very little more to add to that.
Whoa. Your flag just went flying out of, like... Oh, I see. It was because your boat was below the edge of my screen, but the flag over it was not, and so there was just this flag floating in.
Our pirate captain has come free of battle behind us as well.
Yeah. There's another battle over to the side. It's 250 versus 150, which makes it look like it's actually a real thing, but I don't know. Let's head out into more hostile waters. See what we can do off San Nicolas or something like that.
There's a Constitution with some friends out ahead of us.
Oh yeah? Constitution plus 3 medium. I would feel more comfortable if you were at least in a medium.
Yeah, I think that might be a bit above our effective grade here.
Mm-hmm. I could probably limp through it.
Pavel with 1 large.
Yeah, that's going to be a St. Pavel and probably another St. Pavel. And they're second rate, so I'm not enthusiastic about that plan. But yeah, if you had been in the Endymion, I would definitely want to go after that Connie. I should try out the Constitution. I haven't yet.
I've seen a few Nation of Thieves captains with it.
Yeah.
It seems to be the ship of the now.
There's a bit where the battle between, I think it's the Java and the Constitution shows up in Aubrey and Matron. Haven't gotten there yet. It's, many books down the line, but I'm kind of excited for that. The Constitution, of course, punched above its weight. That's why it's like a famous ship, because it consistently did. We could try this Belpool plus 4. The only problem is...
just looking at that. It's a little much. I think 2 ships might not be enough to handle that many incoming ships.
Yeah, the only problem is numbers, and also that if we engage them near these other 2, they're all flying the same flag, and the others might get pulled in. So
good chance that gravity will happen.
Yeah. But the Constitution managed to, I believe, sternrake the Java and carry off its wheel, which, while that seems to happen all the time in this game, is definitely the sort of thing that would be decisive for a battle in real naval whatnot.
That one off to the port is a firm no. That would be a St. Pavel, 2 large and 1 medium.
Oh, up to coming into the in front of us, yeah.
Yeah.
So large means first, second, or third rate. Medium is a 4th or a 5th. Small is a 6th or an unrated. So basically, it's ship of the line, frigate, sloop. Right.
Makes sense.
That classical divide. Oh. Yes, I'm not surprised we got no rewards for just showing up and saying hi. So while we're sailing, I just want to pull up the map and say there are problems brewing for the pirates. The clan FP apparently went defunct and had 4 ports in Exuma, one of which the pirates managed to get once they went defunct and it went neutral. The other 3 the Prussians got. So now Georgestown, Port Howe, and Arthurstown are all Prussian. Right up near Deadman's Key, which is our only actual not port.
Yeah, we've been having trouble with the Prussians for quite a while now. It might be worth trying to get the pirates organized to push them back.
The pirates took Grand Turk, where we went that other time. And they've taken Goma Sevilla in Cuba.
So you've got quite a bit of the coast of Cuba now, too.
Yeah. But the Prussians have a firm hold on the northern coast of Hispaniola, and now they have this extra chunk of the northern Bahamas. So, at some point, we will have to push back on that, I suppose. Constitution and a surprise.
One possibility would be to bait the Russians into trying to take some of it.
I don't know enough about the politics between those two flags. I do know that the Russians have screened for the Prussians in a few battles. So I think that might be difficult. All right. Let's go for this surprise. That
I'll
should
be in right behind you here.
Fairly easy one. Might be easier if you tag it.
Feel free to tag it, basically. Oh, well, I was going to say feel free as soon as you're in range.
All right. I'm just going to let it pass me to put me in the perfect position. Or actually in it. All right.
So this will start in melee range then.
Melee range is how I like to have my naval battles, right?
Oh, we really have started right on top of each other, haven't we?
Yeah. I like to think that this first 30 seconds is, clearing for action, and the moment between the attack timer and the battle starting is when you hoist your true colors, and they're like, oh, I know who that actually is.
It's not a bad theory. I really like the model for the Rattlesnake Heavy.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from the top down, it's got an absolutely excellent view of the gun deck with the spare masts lying along it.
Oh, lovely. You know what else it has? I believe it has a tiller.
Really?
Look at the stern.
Oh, you're right, it
and
does.
There are marks on the deck, which is a real thing and a wonderful thing that you'd see in vessels like that.
You'll be unsurprised to learn that I brought along heavy charge.
Oh, really? You, heavy charge? I would never have thought.
Good morning, other ship. Gunnar van Bredrode.
Alright, that was not the best of broadsides.
You did make a mess out of his stern.
Doing it while turning, which is a bad idea. Cat's trying to claim my lap.
Apparently I can just run before the wind at great speed here.
Oh, yeah?
I'm at half at 9.3 knots.
Wow. It's a well-designed ship for that. And, yep. Here's the cat, demanding that he sit on my lap. Yeah, this thing makes... I don't know. I think its top speed is like 8 knots. I find that I really like the Bologna for its balance of like speed and heavy hittingness, but I'm trying out these second rates. I'm actually technically at the point where I could crew a first rate, at least the Victory, not the other first rates, but one first rate. But I'm kind of holding off because I feel like that's like the pinnacle, right? Is commanding a first rate.
Like you got there's nothing left to do in terms of larger or heavier ships.
Yeah. Let's see what that broadside does.
Okay, swinging through the wind while you were coming in at less than full sail may not have been a wise move for me.
Yeah, you really, even on something like a Rattlesnake, you really need to be at full speed before you start attack.
The Rattlesnake needs a beeper when it's backing up.
Yeah?
It just feels heavy compared to a lot of the ships that I've run on this game.
Just wait until you
try. It's in the name. The clue is right there.
Just wait until you try a ship of the line. Ooh. So yeah, at the end of Paul Ludis's book, he ends up talking a bit about how he feels about death after a solo circumnavigation of the globe, and how like he's kind of reached this point of realizing that it's more like an unjust or stupid death that he fears. And I don't know, it's a surprisingly powerful culmination to a book that's, from a weird guy.
It's like, okay, I've clearly had the experience of being very close to death.
Oh, yeah. And what's really interesting is sometimes in ways where it wasn't obvious until like months later for him. And sometimes in ways where it was like, oh yeah, this is like, I'd just better not be stupid right now. In one case, he collided with a partially submerged shipping container in the Indian Ocean. He was like, "Oh, I hit a thing."
Great way to rip the bottom of out of your ship.
Well, yeah, he eventually hauled out in like Tel Aviv or something after like a lot more sailing, and saw just how bad the damage was, and was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize. I'm lucky. If it had hit at a slightly higher speed or a higher point, I could have sunk in the middle of the ocean." Speaking of sinking in the middle of the ocean, let's do our best.
Holy moly. You really do make a real mess when you're firing
to show Gunnar.
Whole decks like that.
Yeah. I think that my bottom deck mostly hit the water, though. It's hard to get all three angled at the right level.
I might suggest that you're not really supposed to launch all 4 decks at once.
I mean, I think you're right. With the St. Pavel, it actually has 4, and I put carronades on the top 2, and I put longs on the bottom 2, which means I spend a lot of time turning decks on and off, sort of managing which ones I'm using. Rest of that ship's for you if you want to take it, now that I've softened it a bit. I mean, of course, I'm always willing to step in also, but I think you should get as much XP out of this as you can. As I... Speaking of needing a beeper as you back up, there is literally no way to not miss stays in a, in a ship this size, so your tacking will always involve being taken aback. And ideally, just taking the front of the boat aback. Ooh. Oh my goodness, it smells so good in here from the tamale I was cooking. Just the mixture of herbs and spices. So good.
So what do you end up putting into it anyways?
So it is a bunch of plums. That's the basis of it. And then it is garlic, fennel seed, coriander seed, cayenne salt, fresh cilantro, fresh mint.
That does sound really quite good.
I mean, it sounds mostly surprising to me, especially because I'm hardly a fan of like cilantro on its own, and fennel I'm not crazy about either. But somehow altogether, the pieces just work. Ooh, you've taken a beating on one side.
Yeah, I got myself in irons, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Well, I do know better. It's taken me a moment to get out of it.
Yeah, it always does. I mean, I think that's an awareness to constantly practice, right? Let's see what this does. They're on fire and in reload shock. That should help.
And I'm just sitting here plinking them from range.
All right. Can you imagine being up on these masts, staring down at that deck?
Can you imagine being up on these masts with a fire below you?
Jeez. I mean, they would often do is they would have like sharpshooters up on the masts, right?
Because if you can pick off somebody on the other deck, then you're at an advantage.
Well, yeah, that's how Lord Nelson died, right? Like a French sharpshooter on the mast of one of the ships at Trafalgar managed to actually hit him. At that point, he was already down like an arm and an eye. So I don't know how he had lost those, but he clearly had better than average survivability. All right, so we have the jib topsail, we have the jib, we have the forestaysail, we have the spritsail.
They are down.
They're down? I mean, they could still explode if that fire goes unchecked, so be careful until
Yeah,
they're, like,
I'm leaving the area for that very reason.
Yeah.
But they are out of structure, they are sinking gently.
Loot them. Get up close and loot them.
They are upwind of me.
Oh.
So have at.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be slow for me, too. But I guess it'll be quicker. I'm going to fire off some victory broadsides.
Fireworks.
It's so nice firing both broadsides at once. I don't know. It's just weirdly satisfying. How are you on damage? Do you want to go into Barracoa and repair?
I think I might. Stern 8%, right hand planking 33%.
Yeah.
Everything else in great condition.
So I'm trying my best to practice that art that one needs to practice when, say, actually sailing, of cutting sails and drifting in to a dock or whatever, in this case to a sinking ship that I'm looting. But it's really kind of difficult to like judge, okay, how quickly will it take me to slow down? How many boat lengths do I have? When I was out in the Chesapeake, the docking was charitably described as not too lubberly, but it was
That's quite damning hectic. With the faintest hint of praise.
I know, right? It was a little hectic because, I was trying to... What's the line from Moby Dick? For at one and the same moment, everything must be done everywhere. That. Alright. So Barracoa is to the west. From there, we can maybe circle around to Puerto Escondido or San Nicolas after we've gotten some repairs in. In the meantime,
that should work.
Sorry?
I said that should work.
Yeah. In the meantime, we can keep an eye out for those dang Prussians. How are you on XP?
I actually just ranked up right before the start of this session.
Oh.
So I'm well away from a level.
I see. That's why you're not quite
730 out of 5,000.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Coast of Cuba. In game, at least.
I'm now listed as a plunderer.
I can never keep the pirate rank straight, but to be fair, I can never keep actual British ranks straight either, so...
They're more like a guideline anyways.
A guideline to what your ship gets called. So, yeah, the Paul Ludus thing is really good, and I would definitely recommend it. It's also a free ebook, which is nice, so you can just find it on his site. But he's thoughtful. He spends a lot of time not sort of accepting other people's assumptions, and comes to some really good sort of reasons we should care more for each other than about power structures kinds of conclusions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'd like more of that in the world and less telling heroic tales of whatever genre.
Yeah, I know. There was a great extra credits that I watched today about how video games tend to design for reaction tests or logic tests. Oh, there's a British enemy player behind us. But they are in...
They're not paying any attention to us.
No, they're in fifth rate of some sort. They're probably not going to want to hunt after a second rate, but I will say... I will alert nation. Anyway, what was that about? Yeah, extra credits. They were doing a great video recently on how there can be other kinds of challenges than just reaction and logic. And they discussed possibly designing around empathy challenges or intuition challenges. And it was an interesting angle.
I'll have to give that a watch.
They specifically cited Cultist Simulator for an intuition challenge, which, of course, I've been playing a bunch of lately. So I sort of
I was
saw
thinking
what
about Banner Saga as well in terms of like a culture challenge.
Mm-hmm. Come on, wind. Bad wind, going the wrong way. I really, really, really would love them. Like, yeah, I would love them to update the port UI or whatever, but I would love them to make a better weather model. The stars are beautiful, though. I can only imagine. Again, Paul Ludus talks about, like, stargazing out in the middle of the Pacific with nothing anywhere around, and just it must be so amazing. I would love to get a chance to just sit out on the deck of a sailboat with no light pollution, nothing. Up here where
I've
I
had
am.
similar experiences out well away from cities, just on road trips.
Yeah, I've gotten to up in the mountains, and that's been nice.
Whereas out on the water, you've got nothing.
Yeah. He saw a solar eclipse in Hawaii, not on his boat, but sailing over to the Big Island and finding a park. I was thinking about what it would be like to see it on a boat, because people who've seen it on the land talk about how, like, all of the wildlife gets quiet. Everything just sort of settles down. Oh, I've been leaning forward and I'm out of frame. Let me fix that. But obviously the sea itself wouldn't get quiet, so it'd be interesting to just hear the waves. Sorry,
What kind of port has no repairs for sale?
I mean, you can at least spend money on repairs, right?
I can spend money on repairs, but I can't bring them with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm finding that repairs are in more and more demand lately, so...
So, I wonder if there's a market opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean... They are super expensive to build, but if you get the right things around, I guess they're okay. There is an AI frigate and medium right in the harbor of Baracoa. Do you want me to tag him?
I should be back in the water momentarily here.
All right.
And then let's take him.
I've already tagged them, so yay, you'll join us. Unless they escape me during this very slow tack.
I'm locked out of combat for 30 seconds here.
Alright. Well, hopefully you'll join soon. Meanwhile, I start the battle in stays. Like a fool. It's a frigate and a frigate, so... I'll try and wear them down a bit, because I think a frigate versus a Rattlesnake Heavy is going to be a little bit of a rough beginning.
A little one-sided. There is another ship there, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Marcos Cavarades and Dixie Blakely. I kind of love
Dixie Blakely is a fantastic name.
Isn't it? This game generates some pretty good random names. Alright, let's get everyone into the rigging. Let's back this thing up. Beep, beep, beep. You'll notice that I have the rudder in the opposite direction of the way I want to turn, because I'm going backwards. Trying not to sneeze very loudly on stream. And let's show these Spaniards what we pirates are made of. Arr. Alright, bringing it around to a very, very slow beam reach. Eventually up to speed.
I shall be along momentarily here.
Any moment now. It's the lack of bow chasers that really gets me on the second rates, though. even if I'm not using them, I find them helpful to sort of have a which way am I going.
True.
That's another thing, actually, that Ludus ends up talking about. When you're at sea, he says, you don't think about the front of your boat as special. It's sort of the way you're headed, but you're looking out, at your wake as often as you're looking out in the direction of travel. But as you start to approach land, suddenly you, begin to gradually fit yourself for human contact again, as you think, oh, right, I should look forward and, pay attention to all of the hazards of approaching land. That single broadside brought them down to about 1/3 of their side armor and put them in relay shock.
There's a survival-ish block builder game on the Steam storefront right now, which is basically about building a raft in the tropics, and I want to pick it up just to see if they've actually managed to capture that particular element of it.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. I was
also
curious.
in part because most games get being a Polynesian islander wrong. And that's probably the closest we're going to get.
When I was in Hawaii, we were talking we were playing Agricola, and so we were talking about what would the Polynesian version of Agricola be? How would you adjust Agricola for a essentially non-scarcity environment like pre-colonization Hawaii? Which I thought was an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure we have the cultural context to answer that question.
Right,
personally.
what is winning in that context? All right. They angled off a little bit too much.
There's a film coming up shortly.
There's a what?
Meg just clued me in that there's a film coming out shortly, which is an adaptation of Monument Valley.
That is a weird thing to film.
Indeed.
Huh.
Just for sheer bafflingness, I might have to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like video game movies as such have usually really landed, but that's such a weird one that it would be, worth seeing. I did see a great film recently, and I strongly recommend it if you get the chance. That film is Spike Lee's latest, Black Klansman.
Ah, yeah, you did mention it was quite good.
It gets super real, but it is well worth it. Very good film. I don't recommend it as a bit of light casual watching, but if you're up for it. All right, Dixie. You're doing okay, armor-wise. I'm just gonna run interference on the other frigate for you.
Much obliged.
And let you hammer on Dixie a little bit while I try to stop Marcos from shooting you. So,
I find the depiction of bounced shots really entertaining because the balls visibly lose so much energy and it kind of looks like it goes doink.
Yeah, it really does. It goes, yeah. It's actually really helpful, though, when you get to see the balls, bouncing into the water and see the splashes and go oops, I messed up that broadside. Or whatever.
Oh, indeed. It's a really nice piece of feedback.
Yeah. I think the things that they choose to physics model in this are a pretty good set. While I would love more weather and stuff like that in the open world, I think that within the battles, the degree to which cannonball angle and distance matter is pretty wonderful. All right. I am slow, but I will get there. And I will send lots and lots of lead at Marcos Corrales. Ooh. Well, you take a bit of a beating on that side.
There's more with that game.
Yeah.
I am exactly between them, which isn't the best place I could possibly be in this ship.
And they almost exactly shielded you from my broadside. Victory.
Almost exactly is not a phrase I particularly like, but let's roll.
Also, I suppose I should say Busantur instead of victory, right?
Well, for the second time today, I've managed to ride up a wave just as I've ordered a broadside and ended up launching the whole thing through sails.
Look out. We might be on a bad course.
Oh, we're good.
We're
I already planned for that.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to have to stop turning, but...
Yeah, that happens slowly too, but I can. Alright, we're good. We're good. Luckily, this broadside isn't loaded, so my temptation to use it while I'm passing by you is lessened. In fact,
The good news is I'm not going anywhere because I am firmly in irons once again.
Oh, I am on a perfect run, and if my lower deck will load just a little faster, I will give them a pretty nice broadside. There we go. And then I'll give them a pretty nice stern rake. All right.
That's a bad sound. Who's on fire?
Dixie.
Oh, that's not so bad then.
I like that you are accustomed to the quick dinging of the "Oh God, we're on fire" bell.
The part of my brain that worries about tactics worries about giving away that much information to other ships. And then I realize that you have no other way of signaling to your crew at this sort of point in the calendar.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the degrees to which ships of this period would go to try to keep information secret were striking. Like, oops, I've been reloading the wrong broadside. I can fix that problem. There we go. They obviously would, have secret signal books and stuff like that they would use to communicate between ships. Those signals would include not just flags, but, cannons fired from certain sides and in certain patterns. Oops. I have got a barnacle of some sort. And they're slowing me down, but I'm picking up speed anyway. So you'd have your secret signal books. You would have your let's just get this resolved. You would have basically like baseball, like, what are our plays?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd have to coordinate all of this because you can't shout across the open ocean to organize tactics in the middle of a cannon storm.
Exactly. And I mean, this is part of why captains would have a lot of leeway. See what I did there? A lot of ability to sort of decide things for themselves. Because you had to. Like, you can't have one person overseeing the whole battle. And I think that's always the case.
This isn't you, because it's about to get full of shot.
Ooh. That's a close embrace there.
We're pulling separate here.
Good.
If you want to take a shot across their bow, now's a good time.
Reloading still. Or I totally would have.
I'm going to head back and finish off Dixie here.
Good. I'm going to let them cross my stern. Because I can deal with it. And I think, actually, they're reloading on that side while they're crossing my stern. Smart. And I'm going to quickly try to reload the correct side. Yeah, they're taking pot shots, but I got it covered. Ooh, they are running for the shallows, but neither I nor they can really...
No, Dixie has sunk. We didn't actually get them out of structure, but they ran out of, leaks.
Oh, it's possible also that the fire put paid to them, as it were, because that'll damage structure if you're on fire. Which, I mean, makes sense, right? Being on fire is not good for your ship's health.
It is rather made of wood.
It is fascinating.
So I'm going to try to come in across Marcos's stern here and come around the other side of him.
Mm-hmm. Do it.
Since I have a bit of a wind issue here.
Alright. Switching to the other broadside because I'm going to be crossing his stern as well. Let's get both of my broadsides back. There we go. Now I am broadly sighted. And just in time. Ooh. Latter half of that went way past.
It would be rather nice if the little depictions of the crew went running across the deck when you did that.
Well, I mean, this ship appears to have no one actually on it. There's like...
Oh, it is yours a ghost ship from your perspective.
There's one person on each cannon. Not, almost a dozen.
That's not a gun crew.
Well, I've got spare masts on this, too. Well, spars. Might work for topmasts. Oh, that was an interesting thing in Aubrey Matron. They were talking about putting up a new topmast while at sea, and the dangerous point before it's been secured, where if something goes wrong, you have just dropped a very heavy pole from a height straight down onto your deck.
In other words, a harpoon.
Yeah, and they could and would just pierce through the ship and just, break the keel and sink it, which sounds terrifying.
Must be a terrible way to spend your last hour or so, feeling like a complete idiot for harpooning your own ship.
Or, repairing, not even upgrading. Just we can't move without this, so we'll, die of starvation. How about we fix it?
No, we won't die of starvation.
Problem solved.
I'm on the far side of you from Marcos, so you should be clear to take a shot.
Oh, yeah, I am. I was just adjusting my staysails and my yards so as to minimize my heel, making myself invisible to the wind temporarily. Slows you down, but, it's a useful way to just zero out your heel. And their bowsprits off because they don't know how to sail. Nice.
Oh, you know what's frustrating?
What?
Tacking through the wind only to have the moment of reverse actually kick you all the way back out of your turn in the other direction.
Ooh. Yeah, I tend to be...
not by a small margin either, by a good, 20-30 degrees.
That is actually missing stays. That is what the phrase really properly means, I think. I tried to tack and the wind said no sort of thing. Alright, I'm going to shoot this at a very raking angle and see... Yep, one bounced off, other went through the bow. That's okay. I kind of want to just, shoot their, Oh, the wind moved and I am almost dead in the water. I was going to say, I kind of just want to shoot their masts off. Just leave them a hulk. And they are raking my stern very effectively because I am all but dead in the water here. Video games where you can just have your hands folded in front of you watching while you execute a maneuver are great video games. And straighten out sails. And continue to come about. There is not much of that ship left.
Oh, in fact, she is sinking.
Yep. So because XP in this game is based on like the amount of damage you do, I think it does kind of hinder the power leveling approach, right?
Which is probably for the best from a balance perspective.
Yeah, I'm actually really okay with it. I just think it's an interesting bit of design. I actually think there are a lot of really interesting little bits of design in this game, like the way that you accrue XP with individual ships in addition to overall XP. Like, just the idea of having multiple distinct XP systems is kind of great. Alright.
Have you managed to line out to loot them?
Maybe. If I can stop here long enough for them to actually sink. I'm putting my sails backwards just to continue to slow me down. There we go. Loot them. They have a book for bosun, 4th and 5th rates. Do you have that one yet?
I believe I do not.
Well, let's head up maybe towards Pit, where I have a bunch of extra books I can give you, and that among them. If that works for you.
Sounds like a plan. I'm surprised we didn't get ambushed in the middle of that.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's Barracoa, so it's like, you know, pirate territory in air quotes, but not like really solidly pirate territory.
Yeah, not particularly, yeah. I'm going to have a quick swing through Barracoa just to patch up my ship.
Yeah, do that. I'm just gonna... Yeah, I should probably do the same. I didn't take that much, but my stern is kind of wrecked. So for stream purposes, I just want to say I've got a shipwreck, and I'm going to put up a thing on YouTube of navigating there and picking it up just to show that. Not going to do that on stream right now because it's not the most exciting. It's not full of action, but I can do an edited down video of that. And show what that part of the game actually looks like. I hope to get to record some port battles and show that off too. Kind of give a bit of an overview of the different systems in the game. But for right now, this is Rogelio McLaughlin signing off.
And Mark Bonney.
And Mark Bonney.